everyone, Christina here. Welcome to day 17 of the holiday card series for 2023. This video was actually filmed for the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel, and big thanks to Simon for allowing me to include it in this year's holiday card series. Today I'm going to be using some pink cardstock and the Snowflake Visions embossing folder from Simon. The color of cardstock is called Cotton Candy, and I'm going to be also using the Fancy Holiday Cheer die set. The first thing I'm going to do is cut out the outside area of the holiday cheer dies out of the pink cardstock. So I'm going to cut this first because then I'm going to be running the pink cardstock through an embossing folder. So I wanted to get that cut first. So now for this embossing folder, I want you to take note of which side of the folder has raised edges. This one is more flat, and in this other one you can kind of see it's more raised. So I'm going to be using the raised side to adhere my prepped pink cardstock. I've got some repositionable adhesive right here, and this is going to allow me to put that in the embossing folder and run it through multiple times without the paper shifting. So I'm putting this on the side with the raised areas. Once again, this is not the flat side, this is the raised area. So I'll just put that in place, and then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to ink up the other side. In order to get some good ink on there and not have it go into those impressions on the folder, I'm using a brayer to apply the ink. I'm using Distress Oxide inks, and this is the color Picked Raspberry. I'm only applying it to kind of like this kind of right-hand side of the folder. Then I'll close it up with my paper inside and run that through my die cutting machine. For the Anna Griffin Empress, all I use is the embossing folder and one clear plate, and that's the perfect pressure. So now you can see I've got just that pink on the areas that are not raised on the design. I used a baby wipe to clean off my brayer, and then I came in with a second color. This is Seedless Preserves, also a Distress Oxide color. And I'm mostly going to apply this purple shade in the center area of the design, running that right down the middle. And then I'll once again close up that embossing folder and run it through my die cutting machine. Because the paper hasn't shifted inside the folder, I get a really great impression. So now I have a little bit more of an intense color through the middle area. I'm going to clean off that brayer once again and move to the color Chipped Sapphire. I'm mostly applying the Chipped Sapphire to the left-hand side of my brayer so that I can apply it on the left-hand side of my embossing folder. I'm rolling that on. I'm going to add a few more little areas with that ink to try to get it a little better. And then I'll fold up my folder and run that through my die cutting machine. So at this point, I've done all three colors just once, and now I'm going to run all of them through a second time. So since I had the Chipped Sapphire out, I went ahead and did that one first. And you can see how well that kind of darkened up the blue area. I then went back to the color Picked Raspberry, and I inked up my folder with that once again. I'm just trying to intensify the colors on that embossing folder. All right, so that really deepened that color of pink. Cleaning off my brayer, and then I'm going to use Seedless Preserves once more. Just right down the center of that folder, and then running it through my die cutting machine. All right, so here we are. Here is the finished embossed and inked piece. I'm going to remove it from my embossing folder. And if there's any adhesive left behind in the folder, you can clean that off with an eraser or just kind of rub your finger over it. I'm taking this ink from Simon Says Stamp. This is the color Sweets with the blending tool, and I'm just going over all of the raised areas very lightly. I tried to run the ink pad over the top, but then I realized I wanted even more coverage, so I switched to a blending brush. And I really love how this turned out. There's not much left of that pale pink cardstock showing, but I love the intensity on those snowflakes. So I'm going to set that aside from it, and I did a bunch of die cutting and prep some things for my card. So I'm first putting my embossed piece on my card base. Now it was a little bit smaller than a 5x7 to make it kind of fit dimensionally. So I actually ended up cutting off a little over 1/2 inch off the one end. I then die cut that holiday cheer greeting that I'd used before 3 times out of white cardstock and stacked those up for dimension. And then I adhered the fourth layer, which was cut out of some matte silver cardstock. This is going to give it some nice shine on this card. I love having metallics on cards when they're snowflakes because it makes me think of glistening snowflakes. Okay, so after those 4 layers were adhered all together, I then adhered them to my card, and then I die cut some snowflakes. So these snowflakes are from a couple of different die sets. I'll have those linked down below in the supplies, but I think it's the Harmony snowflakes, and also I think it's like the stitched line snowflakes or something like that. I'm now using iridescent clear drops from Pink Fresh, and I'm putting those right in the center of the snowflakes. And then I also kind of spread some out just kind of randomly outside of where my white snowflakes are. I wanted them to just look a little glistening on those other areas as well. I'm using the Score and Place tool embellishment wand, I think that's what it's called, to pick up those drops to adhere them. All right, so here is the finished card. It's very dramatic, but I love how bright and cheerful it is. It goes right along with that greeting. So once again, all the supplies that I used today are listed down below in the supply section, so I hope you'll check those out. And thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you in another video very soon.